Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Mike and T-Roy is here.
Hello, sir.
How are you doing, buddy?
I'm well. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. Crazy day.
Yeah?
I got to admit, yeah, it's a crazy fucking day. I was watching TV last night, but I was watching stuff on streaming.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no idea that the whole world changed until this morning.
The blink of an eye.
Yeah, and this whole Russia invades Ukraine thing.
It's not like you didn't know it was coming. It's been the slowest,
Yeah,
slow roll ever.
It has, but, you know, there were a lot of people going, maybe it's posturing, maybe it's whatever. And I figured there's no better person to talk about this than my favorite person on planet Earth, Jenny Fedorovich. Hi, Jenny. How are you?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I've definitely been better, but happy to be here. I'm glad you reached out, and
Yeah.
as you reached out, I was sitting there. I was like, I need to go out there and speak about this.
Yeah.
And I need to make sure that people understand what's actually happening.
Well, we're going to get into it, and I hope you can really inform people about the seriousness of this, what this really means geopolitically. I said to you, and I stressed it a couple times, I'm reading, but I'm ignorant on international politics. That's not, I've had you here. I love you. It's so good to see you. I haven't seen you in so long.
You too.
And you look amazing as always.
Thank you.
Yes. And, before we deep dive into all that, though, one of the things that bothered me, I was trying to make a post on Facebook today, and I was going to tag you in it, saying, hey, there's no better person, storyteller, to speak about this topic with than Jenny, and I couldn't find your social media at all. I'm like, what's going on? I know we're friends on Facebook, and
You probably thought I
else.
deleted you. So
maybe.
don't
And then I
block
was
you.
like, no, wait, she goes by a different name, a DJ name. I almost reached out to Troy
Yeah.
and said,
DJ
hey,
Jenny LaFemme.
Yeah,
Jenny-
the reason
Jenny-
why nobody can find me, you're
Yeah.
not the only one. I got a bunch of texts. So 3 days ago, I was hacked in the middle of the night. And, it's been such a weird feeling ever since because, you feel violated.
Yeah.
Because a part of your life and who we are, there's so much of digital footprint, your identity, Like I was telling you a minute ago, if I was just there to hang out and whatever, do stupid shit, maybe.
yeah, family pictures.
Yeah, it's just, this is a way I stay connected with everybody around the world.
Yeah.
I have a lot of business accounts that are linked to that, pages. On top of it, it's my brand. It's my business persona. I DJ.
Yeah.
I do motivational speaking. So there's so much of my presence.
Filmmaking.
Filmmaking. So much of my presence
TV.
is there. And it just feels violating. Somebody went and recreated my old email, got in. I'm not sure how. I have 2 steps authentication, which makes it scary.
Yeah.
It came from an IP address in Detroit. It's being investigated.
So do you think it was personal? Do you think it was an attack
You know
targeted at
what?
you, or was it just a group sweep or something?
You know what? I don't know. And I thought maybe it was personal until you just told me something like this happened to somebody else because they happened to go in and post sexually explicit
Child porn.
child photos or whatever. Well, I can't even conceive of this as a human being, let alone
Yeah.
as a mother of a child. It's just like a worst nightmare, right? So
Right.
now my social media is blocked. There's 26 days to resolve this until it gets completely destroyed and disabled, which in a big realm of things, honestly, fuck that. Who
Yeah.
gives a shit?
Right.
With everything that's happening. But nevertheless, it doesn't feel good. I lost my ability to communicate with many people at the same time because the platform is there for that purpose for me. I can reach so many people simultaneously.
Yeah, I think I liked a photo of yours just a few days ago.
Yeah, probably
And you
just
wrote
over
back.
3 days ago.
Yeah, it was probably 4 days ago.
Yep, it was 3 days ago this happened, and my microphone
So why does it?
went so much smaller.
Yeah. This happened to Freddie the pizza.
Freddie Bello, yeah.
Freddie Bello,
the pizza man.
which makes me wonder because both of you are kind of celebrities in your own right, decent sized followings, not just anonymous mom who shares wine pictures of her girlfriends every Thursday.
Yeah.
Like you use yours as a platform. Freddie, Dave Portnoy, I don't know if you know who he
Yeah,
is. Dave came in and ate his pizza and rated it one of the best he's ever seen. He got a ton of pub. And Freddie had a huge following, thousands and thousands and thousands of people
Right.
on Facebook. And same thing, kiddie porn.
And it's really weird, right? It's an unusual hack
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
usually somebody hacks in and they start asking all your friends for some fucking shit, money, whatever,
Right.
like join this, or we've all seen it, right?
Right.
Or somebody makes a profile like yours, Or somebody hacks in and in 3 days you get a ransom note. None of it happened to me. I don't know if it happened to
No,
him.
not that I'm aware of.
So this is kind of similar. It's like, so what
It's
kind
almost
of
just
weird?
to take you down. Type
Yeah,
of a
so
thing.
it's like it's just like to take people down. Like, who is doing this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder why 26 days to resolve it, or your shit
It's
goes.
30 days for it to
Yeah.
be
Okay.
disabled. So today we're at 26 days, and
Yeah.
if this doesn't get resolved, and I've tried everything at this point.
Yeah, he
We're-
thought for sure because he was innocent, didn't do anything,
Yeah.
and thought, okay, well, we'll figure it out. I didn't do this. I was hacked. It'll be fine, and went through the whole process. And no, it wasn't. That account was completely destroyed. No longer there. And the years and years, a lifetime of contacts and things that you'll never get back. You might get a lot of them. You can get some of them for sure. A lot of them probably. But people from years ago and different things.
It'll be really hard. I mean, when I first started this podcast with the Drew Cast, and I just wanted to simply, when Drew left, I had to change the name, change it to Detroit Cast, and they went, the people that Apple said to me, the people that signed up for the Drew Cast didn't sign up for the Detroit Cast, so all 20,000 of those people gone, and I was like, fuck. I still haven't caught back up to that.
No.
Yeah,
And
and
you never
That
will.
initial
Facebook and Instagram make it extremely difficult to talk to somebody in a really way.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they just don't give a fuck.
No.
Honestly, they don't care.
No.
And I've tried, and if anybody out there knows anybody who works at Facebook,
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
let me know.
Because it just doesn't make sense. I mean, now I thought that was the only time I'd ever heard about it from Freddie. And then when you say, especially it was the exact same circumstances,
Yep.
something's off. Something's weird with
Yeah.
that. For
I wonder
sure.
how they got into his account.
I don't know. I could
I've
reach out and
traced-
try and find out more.
I've
but-
traced back how they got into mine. I have all of those steps. And that's the thing. Honestly, I have enough information where I know exactly how they did this.
Mm-hmm.
And if law enforcement would respond,
Yeah.
all they do is put a warrant to GoDaddy to an IP address for a cell phone. That's how it was done.
Yeah.
And
Really?
in 5 minutes flat, and to a Gmail that they forwarded this. I have everything for them,
wow.
right? So all they have to do is connect the dots, get a warrant. They'll know exactly who this is. Because this person thinks they're smart, but they're kind of sloppy. They left a lot of clues behind.
Really? How did you do that?
I made some calls.
Yeah.
that girl.
All
Yeah.
I made some calls that backtrace this, like, right? Because you have to wonder, is this personal? Because if
Yeah.
it's personal, it's a whole other ball game,
Yeah. Targeted attack.
and
I mean,
people don't want to fuck with Russian women.
Yeah, there you go.
It's just not something that you want to do.
Well, I do know people that work in that world, a couple people that are in Silicon Valley. I'd be glad to reach out to them. I mean, those guys are all
Yeah.
incestuous with their,
Yeah,
whether they're
it's
working
just
at
like,
Apple or Google
yeah,
or,
who works at Facebook? Like, put a real ticket in, have somebody listen to this. Like,
Yeah.
it just makes no sense, right?
right, right.
Yeah, and a shame that you're the victim and the whole account gets just destroyed and you have to start over for something that you had nothing to do with.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially when you can prove it, basically.
Well, anyway, hopefully we can help you get to the bottom of that. And obviously we'll help promote whatever. If you have to start from scratch,
Yep.
we can get everybody on board
Awesome.
to help, promote it and mention it. And
Not sure
I
how
would
big we are in the
appreciate it.
Russian community, but we can handle
yeah,
the rest of it.
you handle the Russians. God, what's going on with Vladimir Putin last night? Did you expect this attack?
No.
You didn't.
Okay.
I did not. You know what's weird, right? So our president has been talking about this, right? So the Ukrainian president, Mr. Zelensky, was downplaying this, and until Putin made an actual statement, like a real statement, recognizing those republics that are separatists, saying we're supporting them, and it's a military action. I
Yeah.
love how they're calling it a military
Yeah,
action,
yeah.
where it's a straight up war. I thought that maybe there's a path forward, right? So it's 2022. What fucking war are we talking about? Like, what? I mean, seriously, come on. Like, really, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He has lost it. Like, if you watch Zelensky talk, he made an appeal to the Russian people yesterday. He knew it wasn't going to be televised, right? But here you have a man asking people, what are you fighting for? What are you doing? We're essentially brothers and sisters. We're the same people, which is true. Historically, this is the same people. And you watch Putin like an aggressor, spewing the hate.
Yeah.
You're seeing two completely different sides.
What did he say? We're going to denazify
They're
Ukraine? Like, what does that even mean?
So their whole premise has been I mean, they have several premises for this. So their whole premise has been that the Ukrainians historically have been Nazis,
Okay.
which is, to me, you can go pretty much to any country and say any country participated in some way, including the United States,
Sure.
with the whole Nazi thing. Okay.
Right.
So they're playing this card that the Western Ukraine sided with the Nazis, that they hate the Russian people. Mind you, the current president of Ukraine is Jewish.
Jewish. Yeah.
Okay.
Not practicing, but
It doesn't
he is
matter.
Jewish.
It's by nationality. In Russia, Ukraine, and other countries, it's not a religion; it's a nationality. That's a
Okay.
whole other conversation. So,
Yeah.
so they say we're gonna denazify this, right? So they're saying Ukrainians are all Nazis. They're trying to kill this poor Russian in the eastern side of Ukraine, and we feel compelled to go in there and save them and rid them of this horrible government. Lies, 100%,
Yeah.
unequivocally, all lies, right? Then the second thing he throws, this is too close for our comfort. America is in there, NATO is coming in. They're going to put all these nuclear weapons at our border. We got to draw this red line. We're afraid of this. Bullshit.
Yeah.
He should be more afraid of what he's doing to the people, human rights, the fact that there's no free election, and anything else that happens to that country. At no point, really, like anybody's going to go there, put a bunch of nuclear weapons, and start a fucking war.
Yeah.
Did Americans have a play at this? Absolutely, unequivocally.
Yeah.
Ukraine became its independent country. Americans decided to support it. Okay, it's a geopolitical move from our country, 100%. And we always do this, right? Like
Yeah.
we're guilty of this.
Take a side.
We go places, right? We pump it up, right? Because we have this Cold War undertones. And at some point, we're out.
Yeah.
All right? Like, ooh, this is too close for our comfort. Let us go back to our island of America where we live, and we're going to border this off. So honestly, when this happened in Crimea in 2014, this was a foreshadow of what's to come.
This was the red line that Obama stated.
Yeah, I mean,
and Putin ignored it.
right. Russians came over and took over Crimea, a
Yeah.
huge peninsula, a huge piece of land from Ukraine, under the same pretense. What happened? What did the world do? They
Nothing.
sanctioned.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what those sanctions are? All they mean is I can't send money to my family that lives there.
Right.
When I go there, I can't use my credit card. I can't use Facebook or other American products when I'm there. All the fast food pulled out. What are those sanctions? The fact that my family just can't get a visa to come to America or travel anywhere? Those are the sanctions.
So it hurts really the little guy.
It hurts the people unequivocally.
Yeah.
And all the sanctions that we're about
I mean,
to
they're
do,
bragging about, they're laughing about the sanctions right now, whether it's the
Yeah.
Minister of Finance or
Oh, yeah.
Putin himself going, we've figured out how to fucking get around your little bullshit
Sure.
sanctions.
Sure.
There is a lot of talk about throwing a lot of sanctions now at Russia and trying to choke them off. Biden claimed today that, we took stronger action than SWIFT. You familiar with SWIFT? It's I'm learning all this as I go.
Mm-hmm.
Please bear with me. The Society Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications. It's really from what my note taking, the only sanction that matters. I heard a reporter talking about that's the only one that matters. It's kicking Russia out of the international banking system.
yeah, and they did that.
So they haven't done SWIFT. They
But-
haven't done that.
They crashed some banks today, for sure.
They did.
Like major
but,
banks.
but they can still internationally sell millions and millions of barrels of oil, which is where they're
Yes.
getting their money from.
Yes.
So the SWIFT action would be called upon from the U.S., but the Europeans don't want that because they rely so heavily on the oil
And gas.
and gas.
If he shuts off the gas,
They're fucked.
yes, 100%. We are unequivocally in a super bad position here, right? Because Russia pumps oil and gas and supplies it to a lot of people in this world.
Yeah.
And guess what happens next? Russia takes Ukraine. Within 96 hours, watch, Ukraine will fall completely.
Yeah.
It will be
But how long can they hold it?
all.
They're not going to have the support of the Ukrainians or the Russians.
Although Russia will take over Ukraine
Just
in
like
96
Crimea.
hours.
It's
They
kinda
will.
the same.
Okay, his directive.
Don't you think the Russian people will upright? The Russian people are not for this.
Do you want me to show you the video? What's happening to every Russian person that's uprising right now?
There's people protesting in Moscow today. What's in
1,000 of them have been arrested.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
videos of them of their legs getting broken and getting dragged into police cars and carried away. This is
Never
what's
to
and what
seen
happening.
happens to
again.
them then?
They're all going to jail, every single one of them. And this is exactly what's happening I was on the phone from 5 a.m. till 11 a.m. till I had to start my workday.
Yeah.
Because I don't have social media, I have to talk to people in person, which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do that. And people from Moscow were calling me crying.
Yeah.
They're like, I need to get the fuck out of here. Every time I go outside, I'm watching people get dragged away, and this is the reality. They said there is no more Russia. There's Putin, and there's a military state, period. And if you say anything against the war, you are arrested.
Really?
Yes.
God.
It's like that. It's like that. You better believe it. There is nothing else. I don't care what anybody else is reporting.
So what do you tell them? What do you tell those people? I mean, you can't help them get out of there.
Dude, every person that called me today cried.
Yeah.
They were from Moscow, they were from Kiev, they were from Kherson, they were from Odessa. There's not a single person that did not cry.
Wow.
On different issues, watching people getting dragged away, saying that soon there will be no food in this city.
Yeah.
Saying that tonight they have to sleep in a subway because that's their bomb shelter. And their 9-year-old just said if there is a bomb that's falling, he hopes it hits his school because he doesn't want to go there anymore.
Wow.
And that might be funny for a second, but think
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
That it's in 2022, there's a child that knows that there are bombs falling.
Yeah.
And they live in a civilized society.
Yeah.
And this person is getting away with it. Russian people don't want this war. A lot of them don't, and a lot of them are completely brainwashed, and that's another side of it. A girl that I talked to today said, I can't talk to my mom because she believes that he's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Think about that.
So what is it? They're brainwashed because the state media
yeah.
only gives
There's
them...
only state media. Everybody else who is not in the state media has been arrested, put away in jail, like Navalny, or has been marked as an international agent.
So real news has to be getting in. You know, whether it's North Korea and people are dropping stuff over the fence lines, blanketing this stuff, going, you're living under this regime. Chinese people know when their version of Netflix alters the ending of a movie or a TV show to take out any gay character, or they know. Do Russians know that they're being lied to?
Some are completely brainwashed, dude. Imagine I'm going to put you in this room and I'm only going to show you propaganda 24/7.
Well, that's kind of how our news is now.
Feels like it.
No, but you have the freedom and you have a choice. They
Yeah.
don't. I mean, I'm telling you right now, they're
other
so
option.
brainwashed. All the people that I'm talking to that are for it, I'm just curious what their position on this is. They're completely brainwashed. They said that Ukrainians have been bombing the eastern part of Ukraine and killing all these Russians that live there that no longer want to live there.
So can you explain a little bit what that dynamic is? Because it's a little weird. The eastern part of Ukraine is very heavily mixed, Russian, Ukrainian.
Sure.
They share a language.
Sure. So the whole dynamic...
But the western side that's closer to Europe is not.
Right. So the whole dynamic, I mean, think about it. First of all, we're all the same people.
Right.
And we continue to say this. This is like taking the most famous biblical story, right, of Cain and Abel, where a brother kills a brother, the first murder. This is that. This is literally the people that are so intertwined. You're going to take an ancestry test from half of the people, and they will have both.
Yeah.
Right? Because historically, that was the land. When it was Soviet Union, it was all the same land. Okay? And then eventually, Soviet Union falls apart. They draw a line. Ukraine becomes Ukraine. Right? And they said, long time ago, we had our language. That then when they created the Soviet Union, they outlawed that language. We want our shit back. Rightfully so, like all the other countries do. Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, by the way, they're next.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's not going to stop there.
They're next. Like, people have to realize this. Taiwan is next,
Yes.
and they're next. And when Taiwan...
you can guarantee China is paying very close attention
Oh,
to
they're-
how the world reacts over this, because they're going to launch at Taiwan eventually.
100%. And
Yeah.
then we're in a bad place because there's so much of our stuff, specifically batteries and all that stuff that comes from Taiwan. So there was this, right? So it's this weird thing where all these people live together. They spoke the same language. Then it divides, you know. Western Ukraine has always been like close to Poland and Moldova. They were considered a little more different, you know, because they had different views. They still kept their language at some point. Eastern Ukraine was more like Russian speaking, you know, but it's the country, right?
Is that an easy
Respect.
border to cross? Russia into Ukraine?
Yeah.
Is that like...
Well, it was until the 2014 altercation with Crimea. Then it became much harder. But it's like, okay, it's like so many Mexicans live in California and they speak Spanish.
right.
And one day they're going to go, this was historically our land and we want to separate. So Mexico comes in and just fucking takes California.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Right, but like that's the equivalent.
That's the
Right.
equivalent. Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
equivalent of that, right? You can't. It's somebody's land. It's somebody's whole. And if you're a Russian-speaking person, to me, and if you really truly feel prosecuted, which I honestly don't believe is happening to that extent that they perpetrated, then move. Go to Russia.
Yeah.
Putin is offering everybody Russian passports left and right for a long time. Their population is declining. And actually, this whole refugee crisis that they created right now, 200,000 people fled eastern Ukraine. But you know what they were doing? There were people on the ground from Russia giving them money to do that.
Really?
Or saying, a minute you get over here to a city of Taganrog, which is a Russian port city, and that's where you're going to be a refugee, we give you a Russian passport, we give you some money, and people are going. What are they looking for as an alternative?
How much worse is this going to get? Do you expect this to go on for the next few days? Because most people think it won't take that long for Russia.
He takes Ukraine in 96 hours.
Really?
Yes, all of it. And his directive is to overthrow the government.
So why?
Don't
Why?
be fooled for 1 second. When he said this is a military action in the eastern Ukraine for us to take that territory, but then Russia attacks from 3 sides. There is air action. There's hundreds of thousands of troops on the ground, and they're just taking it, and they're saying they're only attacking military objects. They're walking into Kiev, and they're taking it, and they're overthrowing the government.
I thought this was interesting. I've got what Putin's statement was. Give me 1 second. Where he really...
The one about redrawing the lines of Europe, that's the most terrifying things I've heard.
yeah.
Because this is very Hitler.
That's I was just about to say. That's exactly
I hope everybody
Hitlerish.
understands. It's very Hitlerish.
Yeah.
No, the one where he said basically anybody that tries to get in our way, talk about the fact that real and privileged, blasts America, blah, blah, blah.
Does Ukraine even fight back?
Yeah, they are.
I mean,
Yeah, they're
like
trying.
with everything they have, or
They're trying. They're very proud people.
Yeah,
they're
right on.
proud people. They're
Yeah.
people of their land.
Why it's not you? Just the loss of life. If you know you can't win, how hard you go. It's just a question more than anything. But
That's not a Ukrainian or Russian way. If we thought
Yeah.
this way, then Hitler would take Russia.
true. Right on. Just curious.
You never give up.
Good.
Yeah, and I've heard they're fighting and they're tough and they won't give up in the Ukraine. But Putin ends his speech, his 5,000-word speech or whatever. Now, a few important, very important words for those who may be tempted to intervene in ongoing events. Whoever tries to hinder us, and even more so to create threats for our country, for our people, should know that Russia's response will be immediate and will lead you to such consequences that you have never experienced in your history. We are ready for any development events. All necessary decisions in this regard have been made. I hope that I will be heard.
That's a big talk.
It's like
Is that
it's
just
like,
posturing, or is he serious? I mean,
listen,
they're a nuclear superpower.
He's holding a nuclear power button and waving it around like a luxury car key.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing. And now the question is, you're standing in front of a crazy person. He's holding a gun. Does he pull the trigger? We're in that position. We don't know. And is
Well,
he
today, yeah, last night changed that. He was never viewed as a crazy person. He was calculated, murderer, very calculated, smart,
Psychopath. Yeah.
but not like crazy. You could talk to him. That move last night was crazy.
Yeah, and it's all calculated. And it all stems.
But is it crazy? Really? I mean, it's not insane crazy. It's calculated.
Oh,
this
it's
is
crazy.
all-
It's crazy,
It's
yeah.
crazy. I think it's crazy to start a war.
Why?
It's crazy to sit there and deny that you're starting a war because they're not even calling it a war. And it's a full-on war.
Full-on war.
It's
an
crazy
invasion.
to walk in
Yeah.
to another country, sovereign country, and think that they should give up and he wants to instill his own government. This is insane. And, I hope you understand there's so much propaganda that it's all America's fault.
Yeah.
And, like, people who are pro-Putin and the war are like, they're like, this is the first time we ever attacked. Look at what America did. You guys attacked this, that. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And America was wrong at attacking countries too. So
Yeah.
are you. Like, what are you doing? You cannot walk into other people's countries.
So have you been talking to people this morning that have said that they support?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel like you need 2 points of view. You can't live in a chamber.
Yeah.
I would never erase anybody of my social media before if I disagreed with their point of view.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in a vacuum.
Yeah.
It's a
I
novel
wanna-
idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to. I want to
couldn't agree more with you, by the way,
Right,
on
I
that.
want to understand what is other person's position. Like, where are they coming from?
For sure.
And I'm trying to have a dialogue with them.
Yeah.
And they're just like, now the whole world knows he's strong. So he brought back this whole notion of Soviet Union. He's
Is that
the
what
most,
his end game is? He wants to recreate the Soviet Union, the USSR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he said, I want to redraw the lines of Europe. I mean, think about how insane that is. Who are you to redraw the lines of anything?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're supposedly a leader chosen by the people to
Yeah.
lead.
99% of them vote for him, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fucking
No,
ridiculous.
but it's like, it is terrifying. And what's even more terrifying, like, who's going to do something about it?
Well, if he keeps going, I was hearing that part of what he's interested in Ukraine is the warm water spot that by Poland, maybe. There's like a warm water
He's
well.
interested in all of it.
He's interested in all of it. Does he want to destroy NATO? Is that part of the plan? Because if he invades a NATO country, then the world will get involved militarily. They'll have to.
That's why I never wanted him to be in NATO in the first place. That's one of his.
Right,
Right.
because Ukraine has to be.
Ukraine's on the fence trying to get into NATO.
Yeah.
But if he wanders into Poland or something, or
I don't think he wanders into Poland. I think potentially, rebuilding Soviet Union means going up, right, to the Baltic states or whatever else he can get his hands on. I don't know. Because once the world rolls over, what's next?
yeah,
China takes Taiwan. Now 2 of them are bullying around and going around taking any land they want to take.
Yeah. And if those two team up, look out.
yeah,
Yeah, where does this end?
Yeah.
Does Putin have any claim to anything when he's making these statements about this used to be our land, this used to all be, we just want what was ours originally back? Does he have any claim to that? Do people make that argument to
But
you?
I mean, like, where do you stop? Like, what does that mean? So go to that land before Soviet Union. Whose
Right.
land was that? That was the land of the Ukrainian people. Like, how far do you go with this argument of the land?
yeah, yeah,
Right? Like, where do you draw the line? Like, why is it his land? The lines were drawn when Soviet Union fell apart.
Right, right.
Just like East and West Germany came together and formed one country. Does East Germany now go like, oh, we're just going to redraw? And like, you just can't do that. And if people don't like living in that country and they're of a different nationality and they really feel strongly about being discriminated against, I'll say that. Like, I don't see that. There's a lot of socio-economical things that can go into play here. Then they could go somewhere else.
yeah,
Right? Like, when you talk about him taking over Crimea, right? Like, it's wrong. You can't just come in and take a humongous piece of land, right? But what he does next with that piece of land, he throws so much money at it because he wants to show the world that it was not for nothing. He just takes bajillions of dollars.
yeah.
and
He's
he
like the
puts
world's
it-
richest man, right?
Oh, 100%.
I mean, he's stolen everything from the Russian people.
he is the
There's no-
world's richest man.
You think so more than the Saudis? Some of those,
Yes.
really.
Yes, yes, and yes.
So how did he get his money?
pumping oil and gas, taking
Stole it?
I mean, listen, Soviet Union fell apart. Everything belonged to the people before, right? Belonged to the people. It never belonged to the people. And then there is the division of everything that that country has, and it gets divided between only 7 people. This is a
Wow.
country
Holy cow.
that's pumping more gas and oil than God knows who. The natural resources alone are insane. I'm not even talking about anything else.
Yeah.
That gets divided only between 7 oligarchs.
Oh man.
And you better believe it, they are his pockets.
Yeah.
Like, did you see the Navalny film on YouTube where he showed one of his summer houses?
No.
Okay, I'll send it to you. It's
Okay.
like $1 billion summer home.
What?
His toilets and shit are gold, while people are starving.
Yeah.
Wow. So I was going to ask you that. How are people in Russia living? Like the general population, people like Troy and I in Russia, do they?
So listen, there's Moscow, and then there is the rest of Russia, right?
Right.
So there are big cities where people could be well off and have some sort of perceived notion of freedom, which
They don't.
that's a perceived notion of freedom. Everything you see around you is controlled by the government. It's propaganda. For crying out loud, there's a law against gay propaganda. So if anybody thinks you are gay and you're out there like talking about being gay, you're turning other people gay, and you immediately go to jail. I mean, that's a human rights violation anywhere
For
in the
sure.
world.
Yep.
So, but once you get outside and you go into the small towns and small villages, people are not living well.
No.
That country, like everything they produce is natural resources, and 90% of it goes into the pockets of very few select people.
So why don't people rise up against that? They have to. I mean, how would you compare American life with Russian life?
I mean, every person is different, right? Like
Yeah.
average life,
Yeah.
America.
I mean, there's
don't-
fringes, there's billionaires, and there's
Sure,
the
but
gutter,
like,
whatever.
listen, you
but
can't compare America to anyone. Like, this is a place you could really truly do anything you want.
yeah,
Like, and not even bringing politics into this. At any given time, anybody here can achieve whatever pinnacle of success they choose to do.
Yeah, true.
It's only up to you. It's not up to
why are they
anyone
trying to
else.
tear that down?
Who?
The media, there's such a push. Like America's the worst country ever.
Listen,
And
America
I
has
tell
its
people,
problems,
but I think about you all the time, talking about when people that I know, liberal friends of mine, not to bring politics into it, but that like, oh yeah, America's evil, it's racist, it's white supremacist, it's this, it's that, it's not the land of opportunity. And I think of you, and I remember you, talking about what real opportunity is like in this country.
Sure, and we can't deny some of those things that people say,
Sure,
right?
of course.
And they've been here historically, but here you could still, besides, regardless of all of that, you could still succeed.
Yeah.
You can be a nobody and become anybody you want to become. You can never do that in majority of the world. Okay? Like
Why not?
Because this is a melting pot. It was built in a very different way. A lot of the world is very classist. It's been around for a lot longer, and there are certain things in place that are instituted that will not allow you to do this.
So what if you have a kid born in a village in Russia, and he's gifted? He's very smart. Is he stuck because of that? Where if he was in America, maybe he ends up at Stanford and goes on to do great things.
Listen, it's going to depend on the kid, on his parents, how much sacrifice are they willing to do, and a little bit of maybe luck that comes his way. You know, I don't know. It really depends. But like, is a regular Russian person worse off than a regular American person? I would have to say, based on my opinion, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, just because of the way that things have been structured for many, many years. It's a country that lived under communist rule where you were given nothing and you were supposed to feel good about it and feel equal with everybody else. While people at the top took and took and took and took and took.
Yeah.
And it just went from the Communist Party to the oligarchs, right? The wealth has moved. And, some people were able to make things. And, there's that middle class portion there that lives in a big city that was able to achieve something. But think about this. Can you imagine if you can't leave your country right now? If you're
Yeah.
a regular Russian person and you want to go somewhere, try to get out of that country.
You can't.
Just a few places in the world.
Yeah.
Can come to America, can come to Canada, try to get a visa to go to like EU, anywhere in Europe. It's very hard.
Yeah. Do you think if Trump was still the president, that Putin would have done this?
Yes.
You do?
Yes. And Trump's comment this morning that Putin is a genius,
Yeah.
it's painful. And it's painful, again, it's not political for me, okay? I care about people, all people, right? So he has a power and he has a voice. With great power and a voice comes great responsibility. And when you call somebody like that a genius and you try to justify what he's doing, it's bad.
I think Trump wants to give off the illusion that if I was in power, he would never dare. He knew how strong Trump is and how weak Joe Biden is. I call him a bowl of soup, Joe Biden, because I think people would have voted just as much for a bowl of soup versus Trump. That's how much hatred and division there was, that it didn't matter what Joe Biden did. He was gonna win a certain 80 million votes. So it's like whether you ran Trump against a bowl of soup, the bowl of soup would have gotten 80 million votes. So that's why I call Biden the bowl of soup.
Right, but like
anyway.
there is, right, it's like, would he call Hitler a genius? Would he call any other war criminal because, like, any person entering a country a genius? Would he describe it in such terms? Would
Yeah.
he say it's absolutely justifiable what he's doing? Like, if he just came out and said, you know what, if I was at the office, this would never happen. Cool, whatever. You're entitled to your own opinion. We'll never know that. You're not in the office.
Yeah.
We don't know how this plays out. I guarantee you Putin's been planning this since before he entered
14.
Crimea.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, I take Crimea first, I see what happens, then we set up this thing. He's from KGB, he's got long-term plans. Russians play chess, we're 26 moves ahead.
Yeah.
If he would have come out and just said, if I was in the office, for whatever reason he's doing this, I mean, that's irrelevant. But to go as far as to say this man is a genius, he's justified in doing so.
Do you think Trump thinks he's justified in doing?
Yeah, if you read some things that he said, I do think so. I think he's just like,
Really, I haven't picked up on that.
yeah, whatever I read this morning, there was a hint of that.
He's an idiot when he says stuff like that. You know, he's just one of those talkers that kind of goes by the seat of his. He should be doing a podcast. and
Right, but
spewing
who is
opinions.
listening, right? And then
Yeah.
do those people take every word that he says for true value? Because there's a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people can't justify, like, oh, he's doing it because he's doing that.
Yeah.
They say, oh, he said this. Like, we're now looking at this as potentially the truth because where else are we getting our information, right? It's like living in a vacuum.
Yeah.
And that's scary to me.
What does this mean for America? How bad is this for America? What's going on? You know, because there's a lot of people, including myself, Jenny. Honestly, it was hard for me. Like, I'm not. You know, when it comes to international politics, geopolitics, I'm not. I don't know enough about it, and so it's like, well, it's across an ocean, man. Whatever. What do I care? What's going on in Ukraine? I don't have anything to do with it. You know, America doesn't want another war. You know, we've seen it too many shitty wars. We've lost most of them. You know, what does it mean for America? What's going on over there?
You know, to me, it's beyond just a war, right? I mean, I think this is
World
a chain.
domination?
It's world domination. It's Cold War. It's a chain reaction, right? Like we said, it's Russia takes Ukraine. What does Russia take next? Baltics? What are they going to do next? Give you a good example. Alaska was ours. Let's talk about that,
Yeah.
right? It's the same thing. Alaska was ours. Now we're going back. We feel like it's our territory. And since nobody else did anything about this, why don't we go grab Alaska? Is that okay? China takes Taiwan. What's next? Like, where do you draw
Is
a
there a
line?
stopping point?
We
Do
live.
you think he has a stopping point, or do you think he wants to reset the world order?
He does. He
Yeah.
wants to be feared, and he wants to dominate, and he will stop at nothing. And that's what's happening. And it's scary for America, I think, from every perspective. We're going to see a lot of cyber attacks.
Yeah.
They're going to retaliate. I mean, if we go into something with China, I don't want to think about that. Everything we have comes from China. We're going to be so fucked.
I know.
Like,
we already
if,
are.
If China tomorrow says to us, oh, thank you very much, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you for building all of our infrastructure, all of our manufacturing facilities.
Giving us all your intellectual knowledge
Yeah.
on how to build these
Thank you
things.
very much. We'll see you later.
Yeah. What if someone takes a satellite out? If they start taking satellites out, you take out a GPS satellite, you'd be so fucked. That's my biggest concern with you know, even if you have a smaller country, a North Korea that can't really be a world player and, you know, couldn't take on a military force like the American government. Well, some fucking kid could hack your grid and take the power out. That's my biggest fear.
Sure, we live
Because
in a different world.
We have 30 days worth of food supply in this country. You'd lose 90% of your population in 4 months.
And it's all a scary possibility. Let's not forget that Russia is pumping oil that we're dependent on.
Yeah.
We might not be dependent on Russian oil, but the world is dependent on oil.
Very much so, especially in
Russia
Europe.
is pumping
What-
gas into Europe, so they're terrified. Imagine middle of the winter, they just cut off all their fucking gas.
But Russia's economy crashed by 50% last night.
Sure.
How is that even sustainable? How is that even
It's
in Putin's
not, but
best
he
interest?
doesn't give a shit. He does not care.
Maybe that's what I got to wrap my head
He's
around.
going to let his people suffer because Russian people have suffered eternally all of their whole entire lives.
So he's willing to put that on the table, knowing that they'll take it.
100%. He does not give a fuck.
Wow.
They will solve. Listen, he is dragging people off the streets and breaking their legs for coming outside.
Yeah.
Do you think he cares if they're not going to have food or their economy crashed or somebody's bank account is frozen? Do you think he cares?
Do you think it's changing though if Putin goes in, because he was, what did he call it, a military
Action.
right? Which is bullshit. We know that's
Total
bullshit.
bullshit.
But if there starts becoming video available of Ukrainian citizens being mowed down by a guerrilla warfare Russian army, that will not play well in Russia, and that won't play well in Ukraine.
You're never going to see it
Say
in
Russia won't even know about it. The
Russia
people
might,
there.
well, the world will.
You're not going to see it in Russia.
No.
Do you think anybody in Russia saw Ukrainian president's speech?
No.
No. And unless you can really truly mobilize a large amount of people that nobody has been able to do, and the only man that's been able to do it is rotting in jail, and you can no longer say his name because if you do, you are going to jail.
Really?
Who is going to
that the one that was poisoned?
Navalny, yeah.
Navalny?
I didn't
He was
say it.
poisoned,
He's
right?
the only person, well, they've tried to kill him in several different
Yeah.
ways. He's the only person that was able to somewhat mobilize enough people, right? Because it's like, if 10 people come out, you can fight them. 100 people come out, you can still fight them. 1,000 people come out, you can still fight them. But if you're talking about 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, that's harder to fight.
Yeah.
But who can mobilize that many people to come out that are not scared?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no answer to that because everybody's scared shitless.
So what do you think the world should do?
I have no idea.
Do you want boots on the ground in Ukraine?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't have. I don't have an opinion on this because I don't know how to wrap my head around this.
Yeah.
I don't know. But somebody should do something, but I have no idea. What can you do against it? It's like I told you. There's a crazy person standing in front of you pointing a gun. What do you do?
And the question is he saber rattling or is he waving a nuclear weapon?
He's
at the
waving
world?
a nuclear weapon.
Yeah. Well, the problem is Europe is so dependent on that oil and gas coming from at a reasonable price, somewhat reasonable, coming from Russia, that they're not going to get boots on the ground in Ukraine because that fucks their economy. America's not going to get involved in another war and go put boots on the ground in Ukraine unless NATO gets involved, if he goes after a NATO country. I know when Joe Biden took over the presidency, within a day, he ripped up everything Trump did. It was like, let's get rid of everything Trump did. And one of the things he did was shut down the pipeline, where this country was energy independent for the first time, maybe ever. And he turned that off. And so now we're counting on, hundreds of thousands of barrels of oil a day from, in part, Russia. And they can jack that price to whatever they want.
It's already over $100 a barrel.
Over 100. They say it could get up to 150.
Right.
So gas prices, imagine what they are now. You're talking about $6-7 a gallon, which is small. Obviously, when we're talking about people dying, it's not that big a deal. But it just seems to me like turn the fucking pipeline back on and get your energy independence and choke them off a little bit. It seems like the obvious response right now, immediately speaking.
I honestly don't know how much oil we buy from Russia, so it's hard for me to comment on that. And how
But Europe's buying a ton.
Europe is buying a ton, but it's not relevant to this pipeline conversation, right?
Right,
Like,
true.
as far as I understand, like, honestly, we need to electrify as soon as fucking possible. All of it, so the world doesn't have to be dependent on all of these different sources, And what can the world do? I have no idea. Honestly, I don't know. Like, if you're a politician right now sitting at the top of your country and your leadership, like, what do? You can't reason with him. People have tried. There's no diplomacy.
Yeah.
Zelensky called him. Other people called him. They tried to meet with him. You can't reason with him.
It's a megalomaniac.
Yeah, that's exactly who it is. He is not in touch with reality. When he shows up at certain places, they like paint the grass green, no matter what. I mean,
Really?
the level of where he is just unreal. And
Is it vanity? I mean, when he's riding shirtless on a horse on a beach and shit.
It's power. It's
Yeah.
ego. He wants to be seen as the most powerful man in the world. And he wants Russia to be seen as the most powerful country in the world.
Is that even possible, though?
I don't know. And I don't care. Like, this is the first time in my life I'm ashamed
Yeah.
of this place,
Of which place?
of Russia.
Of Russia.
I mean, it's like, and I know a lot of people don't want this war, right? But it's like, it feels so bad to be Russian right now,
Yeah.
right? Because, and also scary because this country and other places have a history of punishing people from other countries, right?
Yeah.
Like if we talk about Middle Eastern people
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
what happens with the war that goes there, or we're talking about coronavirus and attacks on Asians. It's just like, right? Like, are we next here?
Been
Like,
working on your English accent, just in
Right.
case.
Is that's sad, but that's a concern
It's
for you.
super sad. It's a super big concern for me.
Yeah.
We're having
Yeah.
conversations with NASA about an event that we're doing, and NASA keeps asking me if I'm an American citizen. And it's certainly not for any other reason, but like they're concerned for whatever is happening, even though I answered that question 3 times already.
Really?
And that's just what's going to happen, right? And it could very well be happening, right? Because Russian people are now seen as aggressors. And if I go somewhere and I say I'm Russian, first reaction is going to be very different now because there is a world event at a stage now.
Yeah.
The stage has been set.
That is such an ignorant mindset to not be able to separate the world leaders like Putin and a government versus the citizens that have no control over that.
I mean,
To me, that just sounds so ignorant and
That's
so absurd.
historically, though.
I
been that
know.
way.
I know. I remember.
Sadly.
I never felt worse than for the Sikh community, when wearing turbans, the most peaceful group on earth, the Sikhs. I love. If I wasn't such a shitty person myself, I'd try to join the Sikhs. Right? They do so much good in their community. They're just wonderful people, and they wore a turban, and so they were attacked like they were Muslims and part of the caliphate. It was like, oh my God, people are so ignorant.
yeah, and that's honestly that's a real concern.
Yeah.
Right? It's a real concern, I think, going to be for a lot of people living in this country and this world. Because that reputation is so tarnished because now that country is an aggressor. Because this is a whole different ballgame. You can talk all of the games you want to talk, you can make all of the threats that you want to threat, but you have planes flying over another country and bombing it
Yeah.
from every direction that people have to hide in subways with their animals to sleep.
I thought I heard in Kyiv they were digging holes in the ground
Sleeping in
and
subways.
trying to sleep in the ground in the yard.
In the
something like that.
They're sleeping in bomb shelters, in subways. And, Russians just took possession of Chernobyl.
Yeah, I saw
Oh.
that. Yeah.
That we didn't even get into that. There was rumor they were going after Chernobyl.
Yeah, they took it.
Oh, I know. They did this afternoon or whatever time of day it was over there.
Listen, they're taking
but
all
the-
of it.
But
It-
if they blow up those containers that are holding, the nuclear waste, they said that could blanket Europe.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully that's not their intent, right?
Would you put it past him? I mean, that'd be insane. If he did something like that, you'd have an international war in your hands. With all the people, the biggest players in the game, all with nuclear weapons.
I mean, then it's World War III and the world is over.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, we have the nuclear capabilities to blow the world up many times over.
Yeah. But that's the reality of it all.
So why would they want Chernobyl then, if not to cause absolute?
It's another card in their sleeve, right? Now it sounds scary. Oh, we got this thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's
They're going to take it all.
I mean,
Yeah.
Chernobyl's
how-
hasn't been functional in
Yeah, but the
years,
nuclear waste
the
is
waste
still
nuclear
there.
waste is still there.
Yeah.
And if you blew that up and
It's very dangerous. I mean, the nuclear waste is still there, and how Russia, Soviet Union handled it back then, and denying the whole entire thing.
yeah,
They have not such a great history.
it's crazy to see pictures or video. I think there was a documentary crew that went in there.
Yeah, I'm sure
movie
several
not too long
people
ago.
have.
Yeah.
And it's just
just
right?
frozen in time. It's the wildest shit to see. And there's animals that survive there that have grown
Yeah.
accustomed to it.
Yep,
I mean, it's a ghost town.
yep.
You've never been there, have you?
No. Thank
Stay
God.
out of there.
Yeah, not interested to go
Well,
there.
I don't know. I don't know what the play is. It sounds like nobody knows what the move is from the world.
I really don't know, and I think we have to see how this develops and really what is next.
Yeah, when you put sanctions in place and he doesn't flinch and doesn't give a
Yeah, he's
shit,
bragging
they don't
about
do.
not giving a
Yeah, and they
shit.
don't do anything. Then then what? You go, fuck, we tried. You know,
That's what Obama did in 14 with Crimea.
Yeah, those sanctions are, sure, they're putting more sanctions. Now they're freezing the accounts of all the oligarchs and their children, which is smart because all their children go to school overseas. So they're freezing all of those things. They're freezing the banks.
So those billionaire kids can't just run up a credit card in wherever they are in school and
Yep. Which is going to hit them hard where it hurts in terms of like,
they'll find a workaround.
probably. They
know?
probably have a bunch of cash buried
Yeah, I was
somewhere,
going to say
you know.
they probably have millions in cash.
Yep. But it's like, what does the world do next?
Yeah.
Because he is waiting to see and China is waiting to see.
That China one scares me a lot.
Absolutely.
They're
they're-
both scary.
And China has said fuck all about this, by the way. Like where every other government has denounced it and told him to pull out, which is hilarious, as if he's going to go, oh, okay, I guess I'll leave.
Yeah.
Since you said leave, the German chancellor wants us to leave. Okay, a lot of good, but at least they're denouncing it and stuff like that. China's like, well, we're just going to sit back and see how this kind of plays out, kind of thing.
Sure, sure. They know how this is going to play out. They're watching. And they're coming for Taiwan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
See
how
it
do-
in the tea leaves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, they've been rattling too. I think they'll be quiet for a little while longer.
Now would be a
China.
great time to do it.
Yeah, they
Everything's
won't
going
do it
on
now.
over
They
there.
want- They want to keep.
Now it's time to go take Taiwan.
They want to keep a little under the radar. I think they'll sit back and watch, see what the world does.
Yeah, possibly. Maybe
Yeah.
not. I don't know. I don't know. It's a very scary time. And the only people that suffer in things like this in situations are just regular people.
Yeah.
And it's super painful to watch. And it's painful not to be able to do anything about it. It's like, honestly, it breaks my heart.
You still have family over there?
I do. I have family in Moscow.
Yeah.
All of Race's family is in Crimea.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Everything has been cut off. You cannot get in or out of Crimea.
But you're still able to get phone calls in.
Thank God, but like they can't leave. They have
Yeah.
nowhere to go. There's only one way to get in right now is the bridge that he built because everything else is a border with Ukraine.
Yeah.
And if something happens to that bridge, they'll get no food.
Have you talked to any of the Russian 5 players that are over there? I know that, I think Sergey's over there. And are most of them over there back in
Yeah.
Russia now?
They are.
Have you reached out to any of them?
Not since this happened, no.
No.
But I'd be curious. But,
Yeah.
What
do you think they would
Slava
think?
Fetisov works in the government structure, so I highly doubt that he's going to be
Say
Yeah.
anything.
opposing any of this. Sergey just went to coach the Russian Olympics team in China, so I highly doubt that he will be
Yeah.
speaking out on any of this.
And that's just, whether they believe it's right or not, they know better than to say something.
And Igor is interesting. He was in China as a commentator. He does a lot of business in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
But at heart, I feel like he's the most American of them all
Yeah.
with his mentality.
Super smart guy.
Yeah. So I'm curious where his stand on this is.
Probably smart enough not to say anything.
Probably smart enough not to say anything. Because everybody, even all the liberal Russian media, meaning like the people who had any sort of guts to stand up to Putin, are staying fairly quiet. Only one of them was going to go live tonight because they're terrified.
Yeah. Well, they know the consequences.
Life
And they're
death.
real.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, listen, this is another reason why America is better than all of this, right? No matter what happens, you still have, your due process. Somebody cannot
Rights.
just come and arrest you and take you to jail and break your arm. I mean, some of it has happened, I'm sure, throughout history.
course, of
But I'm
course.
saying, like, in a massive way,
Yeah.
that's not what's happening here.
And yeah, I mean, if that's the power structure, what are you going to do if you get arrested and your leg broken in Russia and go to court? I mean, there's no
court.
What court?
What court?
Like, you think, Russian
Yeah, it's
5
hard to wrap your head around.
Russian
honestly.
5 was stolen in Russia. I know I haven't seen you guys in a while, but
Yeah. What do you mean it was stolen?
The movie?
so the movie, so someone,
Which you made, which was fantastic.
thank you.
I've watched it 5 times, 10 times. I just love that movie.
So someone in Russia who owns a fairly large production company went to the Russian film fund that's funded by the government and got $7.5 million to make a feature film. And the pitch materials were all based on what we did. The whole entire story premise. Even to the point when they were on stage pitching, because I got to see the pitch tape that
Yeah.
somebody sent me, They read my interviews and they were literally saying things that I was saying.
Wow.
They got $7.5 million to make a feature film version, but it's not going to be like ours because it's going to be patriotic. It's going to be all about Russia.
Yeah.
So how
Just
do
had
they
like see how
spin
that spins, right?
I mean, how would you do that?
I
Because
mean,
those guys defected.
Oh,
to
but they all came back, so I'm sure they're going to find a way.
Yeah.
Like they had to, and
Act like they knew what
they'll
was going
figure
on in
out
the
how to
first
do
place.
it. And when I
let 'em
approached
go.
them, when I approached them, they completely just, they're like, I'm sure they laughed in their office, having a good laugh.
Yeah.
When I called the attorney, I was like, okay, we can't, like, that's insane. This is
Yeah.
our IP, our story. Like, it's not public
Yeah.
domain.
It's your intellectual property.
Yeah,
Right.
so he was just like, yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. I mean, can you sue? Is there a system to
Well,
sue?
sure, there's a system to sue, but they'll probably bribe the judge and, and we'll lose the case, so what's the point?
Jesus. How did that movie end up doing?
It did
Worldwide.
great.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, the movie is great, and
How did it
people-
do in Colorado?
It did wonderful in Colorado.
Did it really?
But what makes me sad, I don't know if you saw the article, that Vladdy might be losing all of his care.
Yeah, that because of our new, they changed the insurance.
The
here.
insurance laws, he might be losing all of his care and be forced to be living in one of these homes.
Is he in Florida?
No,
No,
he's
he's
here.
here.
That's why he stayed here, because Michigan was the last state that had that whatever lifelong
Wait,
care.
did his wife go down to Florida?
His wife went to Florida.
Okay. Yeah,
But
I know
he's
that
And
he's,
his daughter is
he's
there.
maintained his residency here because of that, because of the lifelong care. I forget exactly how they call it, but
Yeah.
for the auto insurance, that's why we had the highest insurance rates in the country. We're the only state that still had it, and then Whitmer got rid of it, which saves everybody $4 a month. But then people like him are going to lose that
So
lifetime
what do they
care.
do? So what does he do?
He's fucked. He's
He's fucked unless we figure out a way to raise money for him.
So why don't the Red Wings do that?
It's a good question for the
mean-
Red Wings.
I mean, why wouldn't the Red Wings, if nothing more than to have good face in the public?
now
in
that
this town?
Steve's there.
Like,
Maybe there may
like
be a
that
little better
happened at a
chance.
Red Wings parade.
We have not made any progress in that
You've got to be
department.
shitting me.
I mean, listen, my
Who have
ideal
you tried to talk to?
my ideal dream has always been, and this summer it's going to be 25-year anniversary of the Cup. My ideal dream is to raise as much money for him as possible so he doesn't have to lose his care.
Yeah.
Because when I read that, it breaks my heart.
The press is so horrific if he loses his care. There's no way the Red Wings should not be able to.
But the press is horrific now. Nobody's doing anything about it.
Yeah.
I mean, the press, they read this article, it's
just
going to
came out.
make you cry.
Yeah.
And this is not the first time they're talking about it and gathering a press conference. So my dream has always been, let's get a red Corvette. Let's have Sergey design it. Let's put it on display. Let's have everybody who wants to support him buy a lottery ticket. I'm sure we can raise shitload of money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Have a big celebration outdoors on a plaza. Raise a couple $1 million for him so he can live the rest of his life in
Yeah.
peace.
You have to have decent connections inside the Red Wings, right? I mean, I do.
It's
if you need help.
Listen, we tried to have a conversation about this
With who?
several times.
You don't want to say.
No,
I've never
I
seen you
mean
uncomfortable.
with different people. It's just like we have gotten nowhere. I feel
But
like we're
his teammates are the guys that he played with and won a cup with are entrenched in that organization, whether it's Stevie or Drapes.
so maybe that's who we need to have a conversation with is
Yeah.
Stevie. I mean, I don't know. We haven't made any leeway
I mean,
with that.
Drapes is the fucking greatest guy in the world, and has the ear of everybody in that organization. I mean, I'd go to Drapes. Getting to Stevie's hard, but shit, Drapes is easy. Call him right now.
But bottom line is, why is nobody doing anything about this? That's
Yeah, I don't. You know what? I feel like an idiot right now. I don't read local news at all, for the most part.
It's devastating when you read
yeah,
that
that's horrible.
article
That's
and you
tragic.
see him
Heartbreaking.
and you see him sitting there and you think about how much he gave to this organization. And then you think about the fact that he didn't have a big contract yet that was coming before this happened.
Yeah. And I immediately think back to, was it the Royal Oak Music Theater that you guys did a big premiere at?
Fillmore.
Fillmore. So we went to the film, and he was there. Mm-hmm. Do you remember the ovation
Yes.
from that crowd?
Yes. 3,500 people. I'll never
Fucking
forget that.
madness.
Yeah.
All on their feet, chanting his name. I mean, it went on forever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how the town feels about it.
Yep. So there's something that has to be done about this.
Okay.
Because this is super sad to watch that he's going to lose his care. Potentially he's going to go into some home.
I think we know what we need to do here.
Yeah.
We need to put this thing together somehow.
We need to fire the machine up and
Yeah.
start making some headway.
Yep.
That's crazy. What else are you working on?
How's start?
Startup is great. This is our 10-year anniversary,
Holy
guys.
cow.
I cannot believe it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're getting ready for shooting our season 10 this year. I hope that we're over this whole crazy pandemic thing. By September, we're going to have a huge celebration that we're planning for the end of September.
What network is it on again?
PBS.
PBS,
And
yeah.
Amazon Prime. So getting ready for season 10, which is crazy to think that you're an independent producer.
Yeah.
And the longevity of the show and how amazing it is.
awesome.
And-
Do you feel that?
Congratulations.
Do you feel like you have to up it every season has to be bigger than the last one or more exciting? I don't know if that's possible when you're talking about. So you go and focus on startup companies.
Yeah, businesses, small, medium, large, they need to be of less than 7 years old. And, it's all about compelling stories. You know what? It's like a living and breathing organism. The show takes a shape of its own. When we started, we had 3 businesses, then went to 2. Now we have 1 for the last few years. And then we went from pure business conversation to less business conversation, more about people.
I was going to say you're a storyteller, and so the people that make up these
Yeah.
brands and companies are
Yeah.
really the story.
Yeah, they're the story, but it's just I feel compelled to tell stories that are bigger than businesses.
Yeah.
They're bigger than the people themselves. Season 9, you probably haven't seen it, but I'll send it to you.
Okay.
We opened in Wilmington, North Carolina with George Taylor, who exited an app called Untapped. I don't know if you guys like beer.
Yeah, beer. Yeah, absolutely.
So he created an app, exited at millions of dollars. That was a huge exit for him. So he could have just chilled on the beach. He's wealthy. He's got a McLaren, whatever he's doing. But he was watching the news and he saw that there was a huge gang violence problem and drive-by shootings in his town. And he said, how can I resolve that? That became his mission. So for 2 years, he made relationships with gangs. We're talking Bloods, Crips. We're talking
yeah.
legit.
Real gangs.
Real gangs, not
Yeah.
real gangs. And what he understood about gangs, that they were structured like a business, had hierarchy, had a code of ethics.
Yeah.
And the difference was those people didn't have opportunities. So he created a brewery that only hires opposing gang members.
Wow.
Opposing gang members.
Opposing gang members,
Oh shit. Okay.
right?
What's
And
it called? Duck?
No, it's called it's called True Colors.
Yeah.
Coors Light, Miller bought into this.
Nice.
It's hugely successful.
So when you say only hires
Opposing gang
opposing
members
gang
Like
members,
Crips and Bloods. And
to work
Latin
together.
Knights and all that.
so they have to work
together.
together.
They have to work together, and they're teaching them skills. He has great minimum salary, benefits, and they all get a piece of a company.
Wow.
And he tells people you can sell drugs on a corner, you can sell software, you can sell beer, you can sell anything. You're transferring your skills.
Yeah.
True.
And to watch what he's created, that's life changing.
Yeah.
Guess what happened to the drive-by gang violence in that town?
Started going down.
Went away.
Practically went away.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? So that's like a business, but think about that. Right?
Yeah.
Think
The
about
real world
Think about the
implications.
magnitude of that. Or I interviewed people that have
Why
a
couldn't you
coffee
extrapolate that and do that in L.A. and do that in
I'm sure
Chicago?
hopefully you
Can?
can.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can. And I mean,
it
right?
shows it's possible.
It shows that it's possible, but somebody has to invest time, energy, money into creating something like this because this is social change,
Yeah.
right? And it's not
And it's
without,
social change that is good for all of us. We all agree with it. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on.
right. It's also not without its faults. There was a horrible tragedy where that somebody ended up coming into his home and killing one of the people. It just, the thing evolved. He still did not back down, though.
Yeah.
He was like, I truly believe in what the purpose this is serving. And that was not one of the people that were a part of, his brewery. So, but somebody's got to start that change and that social change. And then we had a coffee shop. It's a couple that has 4 kids. 2 have Down syndrome and 1 is autistic. So they created a coffee shop that only hires kids with mental disabilities. They're growing like wildfire. They have 120 employees. At noon every day, those kids have a dance party. So other people that might have autistic kids or kids with disabilities can come there and have
yeah.
this beautiful environment.
Yeah.
That's great.
Right? they employ 120 people. By now, it's probably 220 people.
Yeah.
That are not hidden in the back, that are interacting with the people, and they're giving them an opportunity. That's a change. That's
Yeah, that's a big
societal
change.
change.
Yep, yep.
Right? Like, so these are the type of stories you're doing business, but now you're changing society. And not every story is going to be like that. You know, there is a guy that, like, did all these things in his life, and then he found himself flying this, like, weird plane that only seats another person and take him on these adventures on the sunset. And that is his lifelong dream that he always wanted to do. I mean, and then you tell somebody's story like that, and then somebody goes, wow, it's not about millions of dollars. It's not about hundreds of employees. Like, it's about this person following their dream, right? So
Yeah.
the show is just really has this wide variety of people. So
So what's on tap for this season?
we're going to be on the East Coast, so we'll
Okay.
see what's happening. I didn't start casting yet. I'm going to be starting here shortly. But we will be, there's going to be a thing happening called All Things Detroit on April, I think, 11th. It's in Detroit, and we're going to create a pitch booth so people can come and pitch us if they have a business.
Oh, cool.
You
Yeah.
should look into Blink TBI.
You know what? Actually, I
With
reached
Ryan?
out to him,
Did you?
Yeah.
and he never responded to
Oh,
me.
Get
that son of a
out.
bitch. I will.
No.
I will talk
No,
to
no,
him
I'm
personally.
serious. That's where we were filming.
No kidding.
Last season, we
South
were
Oh, I remember you were over there.
North
yeah.
Carolina, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Ryan's really good at
I
getting
wrote
back.
him an email.
You did?
Yeah.
Huh.
Shit, I'll reach out to him. If you could be on the
But
East
we were
Coast.
there last. We were there last season, exactly in his
So it's
area.
off the table now. He can't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, not right now.
You
because
got called
we're
out,
gonna be,
Fiorini.
We're gonna be in New York, and mostly like that part. We
Yeah.
kind of want to see what does it look like to rebuild that type of a city. You know, last year 4.5 million open businesses, 4.5 million people open businesses. The
Oh,
most
wow.
amount of small business that has been opened in the history.
Holy cow.
ever.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Because everybody was sitting home during the
Yeah,
pandemic, and
yeah.
they're like, "What the fuck am I doing with my life?"
I think, how do you feel about the pandemic? Are you done with it? Do you mask up wherever you go and all that shit? And
So I had coronavirus pretty bad.
you did.
Yeah, I
The
had
whole
it
family
in
get it?
March. I don't know about our son, but we had it. It was not good. I
Yeah.
mean, we're talking pneumonia, urgent care, hospital.
How long was it? Couple weeks.
So they
or-
didn't keep me in the hospital because they said it wasn't like by their standards it was not bad enough.
Yeah.
But by my standards it was very bad. So it was a couple weeks.
like worst flu you've ever had, or way
No,
worse than
way
that?
worse than that.
Really?
Yeah, way.
So did you
way-
get Delta? Did you get?
Yeah, it was before Omicron, so
Yeah.
probably Delta. Way worse than that. It's
Yeah.
not even comparable to flu.
Really?
Yeah. Like every symptom that you read, I had them all.
Really?
When you can't really breathe, that's serious.
It's brutal. I've had issues with pneumonia. I
like-
had double pneumonia. It was horrible.
Yeah, it's just right, and the fog and the loss of taste and smell. The loss of taste was horrible.
You get
Yeah.
it back.
I
back
finally
now?
got it back. It took a while, but like when you're drinking a cup of coffee, which I love, and I love food, and you can't taste anything, you might as well just be eating Play-Doh.
You guys are such good cooks too.
Thank you.
Oh my God! When you had me over for dinner that night, what did we have? Do we have lamb chops or?
Probably.
Oh, there
if it was
was-
summertime,
Oh
probably.
my God! It was summertime. It was
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, so like the
Did-
I
see,
mean,
here's
it's
my
real.
thing.
I had a lot of people die. I mean, seriously, people I knew that were
Really?
close to me. I know a lot of people that died. I know a lot of people that almost died.
Yeah.
That almost died.
When you lose your taste buds, I always thought like that's the time when you eat all the fruits and vegetables. You can't taste the shit anyways. You might as well eat really healthy.
No, but you know something happens where you're just like, why am I even eating?
Yeah.
I mean, like your brain can't process why are you chewing this food when it tastes like nothing and you can't smell anything and
Yeah.
like I love coffee and taking that sip
Yeah.
I was like what it's
Just
not,
hot water.
It's like nothingness. It's the weirdest
Really?
thing in the world.
And I hear that one, the taste and the smell lasts way past the normal symptoms.
Oh yeah.
And brain fog, I couldn't even think. I was
Yeah.
like the dumbest person in the world. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I couldn't like wrap my head around like a task.
I was doing whippets. Do you know what whippets are?
Yes.
Yeah, I was doing whippets, and I got on kind of a kick on a run of those, a few years ago, where I ordered like 600 packets of them, and so I just like half the day, and I take this whippet in, and I just whoa, I kind of zone out, and then I found myself coming down to do a show, and I was like, who was that guy, that actor? He was in that movie, like
fucks with my
Top
brain.
Gun or whatever. Like, total moron. I was like, okay, no, I can't do these. I can't get through a show without every other word. I'm like, you know the guy, and I'm trying to come up with Tom Cruise,
Right.
and I can't.
Right.
Total fucking, yeah, that brain fog is a real thing.
I mean, I wish people would not make all these things political, because then it just like it gets super weird, right? And then there's just so much information, misinformation. Like, I wish there was some way to say this is unequivocally a scientific source behind this, but we can't do that,
No,
right?
we can't.
You know what we can do is go by our experiences of people we know, and hopefully other people that might not have had the same experience have somebody that they trust, that they can understand that this is real.
Yeah.
Because people that like kept writing, oh, do you actually know somebody that died? I'm like, motherfucker, I know 25 people that died.
Really?
How is
See, I
that?
didn't know anyone.
I know a guy who's like
crazy.
4 months in a hospital,
Yeah.
in a coma,
Sheesh.
who was one of the healthiest people I have ever seen,
Yeah.
that barely made it out alive.
You think it was created in a lab in China?
Possible.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was reading a story yesterday. I was telling T about it, that they found a DNA profile, tiny amount in the coronavirus, that was patented by Moderna 3 years before the virus, before the pandemic.
So you think it's a conspiracy of them releasing it so they can give us vaccines?
Maybe they make
It's a great
more money
business
than
plan. I'm just
fucking
saying.
they could spend in 10 lifetimes this year.
So here's my whole problem
I
with
have no
all
idea,
of the...
but a lot of that stuff
Right.
points to that, and it's
Right, but
interesting.
like, here's the thing. You can't get 3 people to keep a motherfucking secret.
No.
Like, how many people have to be in and involved in this size of a conspiracy?
Well, you can if you have them in China.
Yeah, but it's like...
And whistleblowers have come out from China and said
But
that.
like other conspiracies within Moderna, within the government, right?
Yeah.
Because this thing just keeps going, right? Could you possibly do it in a lab in China and create it and kill everybody who created it so this doesn't get out? Yes.
Yeah. Well,
But
they
I'm
did.
saying,
They did.
like, how do you surround this major conspiracy theory with everybody else in a real way?
Somebody's going to talk. Somebody always talks.
Like, how many people can you put in a room that are going to keep same secret over global proportions, that are trying
Yeah.
to destroy the whole entire world?
Well,
Well,
one guy on
people-
his
people-
deathbed like 10 years from now.
There were
It was
people.
us.
There were people in China that just were disappeared. Doctors, virologists that
Possible.
were coming out to speak that were fucking gone. They got rid of them.
Possible.
There was the one doctor, virologist, scientist, whatever her credentials were, that said it was absolutely created in a lab, and people mocked her. She was mocked, and she was just a Chinese doctor. who
Does it
was-
really matter if it was in the lab or not?
No, not real. Well, it'd be nice if to fucking go after China for it, hold someone accountable. I mean, if the Chinese government just and,
What are we
and
gonna
it
do,
could just
sanction
be-
them?
Yeah, right. It could just be negligence in a lab, you know. But I don't like hearing stories of 4 times they had scares in this level 4 coronavirus lab, and they not.
I mean,
able
like,
to
do
protect
we
it.
have biological weapons? I am sure.
Of course.
I'm sure
course.
we have them. I'm sure China has them. I'm sure Russia has them. All that shit is super real,
Yeah,
right? But like, the fact that this exists, it exists, right? It has existed. It mutated like any virus would. Hopefully, this is the lighter version of it. Everybody now I know who's had it in the last month. My parents had it. My sister had it. My niece had it. My other niece. Everybody has had it. This version is definitely lighter than what I had.
Oh yeah, my brother had it. That's like
And you know
I,
what?
don't, I only know a couple people that have had it.
I know
That's
a lot of
crazy.
people that have had it. I know some people had no symptoms at all, tested positive.
Yeah.
And I know some people died, and everywhere in between that spectrum.
Yeah.
I know a lot of different cases of a lot of different people being at every spectrum, which makes this thing even weirder, right? Mm-hmm. Like, me and my business partner were completely exposed at the same time. We know exactly where it came from. He had no symptoms.
And you got hammered.
I got hammered.
Wow. How is it in Russia?
It was very bad.
Do they have the same vaccines that we
No,
have here?
they have
No?
their own vaccine, and not a lot of people vaccinated, and a lot of people died.
Really?
Yep.
And those stories I haven't heard a ton about.
Yep.
Why would you?
Hospitals full of people, and just not in good shape.
Yeah. Why is that? Why wouldn't they? You would think that Pfizer or Moderna would want to sell vaccines all over the world.
Because Russia said, fuck them, we're going to make our own.
Do our own.
Yeah.
Which is what they did. But then people are like, we don't trust you, we're not taking this. Very much like
Just saline.
in other parts of the world, right? It's not like it's anything new.
I know.
People are like, I don't
just
know what's
crazy.
in it, but then like I could name hundreds of other things that nobody knows what's in them,
Yeah,
and they
of course.
continue to take them,
Right.
including the goddamn fast food they eat that you can leave out for 6 years and nothing goes wrong with it.
Yeah,
Yet
yeah.
you fucking eat it every single day.
Yeah.
Like literally, that McDonald's experiment that's still sitting out there is the most disgusting thing in the world.
crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Terrible.
And why
Terrifying.
do I see pink pineapples at Plum Market? I'm not eating that shit.
Genetically modified.
Exactly. Like, why do I want a pink pineapple?
Yeah, no.
Oh, I
it's
mean, if you're
big.
going to have a pineapple, why not have a pink one?
Yeah, but it's like biogenetically engineered.
Yeah.
Like, since when is that okay? When did it become okay
Yeah.
for people to just sell all this shit to other people?
The religious exemption gets me. Where people are like, "Oh, it's got human cell like DNA in the vaccine," and people are getting off on that. It's like, yeah, but so does aspirin. It has the same shit
Do
too.
people know what's in Motrin? They fucking take that shit all day long.
Yeah.
I don't
crazy.
know. You know what? It's just the world is a crazy place. And I wish people would just be good human beings.
That's our thing, man.
Be generally nicer to each other.
Be nice to each
Yeah,
other.
but
Don't be
like-
dicks. I think that's what we say. Don't
Yeah.
be dicks.
Don't
Be an
dicks.
asshole.
Don't be assholes.
Yeah.
Don't make everything fucking political.
You know what I think it is, Jenny? I think for people Troy and I's age, born and raised in America, we went through decades where it was just, you're just going about your life. Things seem to be balanced, normal. There's no wars coming to our land. There's not terrorism. So we had this warped perspective of how the world works and how the rest of the world operates. And we're, for the first time, I think it's safe to say in our lifetimes, this whole thing is unraveling, and it feels like it, and it's stressful, it's full of anxiety, and our eyes are being opened way more to the world. We didn't have access to internet when we were kids.
Right.
And so whatever atrocities were going on at tens of thousands of miles away were of no concern to us. But now they are.
Right. Americans have been super lucky. I always say that. The
Yeah.
fact that there was no real war on this turf, you don't even understand how lucky you are. Because majority of people that grow up in Europe, their grandparents or somebody very close to them has died, has fought, and has seen firsthand what happens during war. And while America meddled in politics and created other wars, whether it's Vietnam or Cambodia, or installed political regimes in other places,
Yeah.
it was very far away for everybody else to feel. Because at the end of the day, like, do people really care what's happening in Africa or Middle East?
No.
Fucking Syria is completely wiped out, but most
Yeah.
people don't know Syrian people. They're not having conversations with them, so it's hard for them to wrap their head around it.
Yeah.
And this
false
might be like-
false flag shit too going on in Syria when you find out that you were lied to for the reasons, whether they were gassing their own people, and you never know what the real story is.
But I'm saying all other wars maybe felt different.
Yeah, because we got to sit here and watch it like it was a TV show.
That's why 9/11 was
9/11
sort of different. That was on our own soil. The first
Abso-fucking-lutely.
thing that really happened here.
Right.
That
Where
sort of
you saw
opened
the
our
panic
eyes.
in the streets, and you
Yes.
saw the terror, and
Yeah.
you saw,
Yes.
yeah,
Because, I mean, you can't get here with the oceans on both sides. We're not getting attacked by Canada or Mexico.
No.
So our borders are basically secured. It's not like in Europe where you
Right.
can get your landlocked from every direction.
right.
I mean, it's scary, right? It's a very scary thing to see that in 2022. Because this could be big. This is definitely global. We're a global place now,
Yeah.
right? We no longer can be an ostrich, which America has been an ostrich for a really long time. We'll play over here, and when we're done with this, we're just going to exit and be like, see you later.
Yeah. Well, it's why I always laughed at the idea, like we were so outraged, like Russia meddled with the election in America. It's like, bitch, we've been meddling in elections all over the fucking world forever. What are
our
you talking
specialty.
about? No one's better at meddling in foreign elections than the United States of America.
But all that stuff is super real, right? The bot farms and everything that's happening, the creation of information, misinformation, right? It's the oldest playbook for dictators, create chaos.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're very good at creating chaos, right? Where nobody understands what's the truth anymore.
Well, it was eye-opening to me because I always heard about Russian bots or Chinese bots sowing discontent and causing chaos, whether it's Twitter or Facebook. And I was amazed when I'd see a really shitty post and I'd be like, "Oh, this motherfucker is so stupid." You know, they'd say something about Trump or Biden or whatever. I found myself getting enraged. And then I click on it and it's a guy who's following 2 people and has no followers.
Right.
You're going, that's not a real human being. That shitty comment that just made my blood boil was not coming from a human being. That's what's going on. And then there's 50 comments on it.
Right.
Nobody's following this fucking person.
Right. And then it's like
Stir
a
the
thing.
pot.
Stir the pot.
Right.
Shake the jar.
And it's all day long.
Yeah.
Right. From everywhere coming at you, where you're like, what is even the truth?
Yeah.
Like,
We were talking about this story that Troy and I had heard the other day. I think my mom sent it to me about if you take 100 large black ants and 100 red ants and put them in a jar and leave them, they'll get along fine. They'll do just fine. But if you shake that jar and then open the top and pour them out, they'll fucking fight each other to the death. And the point being that people, even of different origins, colors, races, gay, straight, whatever, they get along just fine until someone shakes the fucking jar. So the question is, who's shaking our jar? Who is shaking our jar and why? To sow all this hatred and everything that we're seeing and feeling on a daily basis. And I don't know. I don't know the
it
answer to
depends.
that.
On any given day, I think a different person is shaking that jar.
You think so?
There's a lot of jar shaking going on.
I mean, listen, it's just like there's something that happens to people when they get in a position of power. It's no longer about money. It's about power. It's about ego. And they just don't stop, right? And all of a sudden it's a game. And there's no humanity there. And it's super scary.
Yeah.
Because on a basic level, they just don't care.
They're basically playing a real life version of Risk.
Yeah.
Sims.
Yeah.
Oh, all of it, right? And who suffers? A regular person.
All of us.
That's going to sleep in a bomb shelter subway tonight instead of their bed.
Yeah. Jenny, thank you so much for coming in. You are, like I say it every time I see you, you're my favorite person on planet Earth.
Thank you.
I adore you. Let me know whatever we can do, if we can help even a little bit on the front with the getting into the wings.
Wow, and your social media and everything too.
And your
Yeah,
social
yeah.
media
Squared
and
away,
everything,
let us
for
know.
sure.
Thank you, guys.
And I know how busy you are. I know how much you want to get home to your family. And I really, really do appreciate from the bottom of my heart you coming in here and talking about a really difficult time. I think most rational people know that you have nothing to feel shamed about as far as your home country and all that. And I'm really glad you were able to come in here and explain a lot of this to us and talk through some of it. So
Thank you.
as
I
always.
appreciate you guys. I love you. And of course, I love you listeners. You know, you guys
Yeah.
are the best. And, I don't know how this is going to play out, but, I hope people can just take care of each other. That's really all there is at the
love
end
it.
of the day.
Thank you. We'll end it there.
Yeah, perfect.
You know what? Thank you, Jenny. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Monday. Have a good weekend.